This is Plant-Based Briefing, Coping and Thriving Through Difficult Emotions, Part 1 by Angela Crawford, PhD at angelacrawfordphd.com. And I'm Marian Erickson. This is the Plant-Based Podcast where I curate and narrate, with permission, a variety of articles on plant-based and vegan living in about 10 minutes or less every weekday. And today's will be a little bit longer, so it's a two-parter. I'm reading Part 1 today and then tune back in tomorrow for the second half. And I'm pleased to have permission from vegan psychologist Dr. Angela Crawford to share her amazing content. She is also launching her first book this year on Earth Day, April 22nd. It's called The Vegan Transformation, A Journey to Heal Yourself and the World. And in it, she shares 7 transformative pillars that create richer, more meaningful lives. Essentially, how a vegan way of life can enhance body, mind, and spirit. So look for that April 22nd. And now let's get to today's plant-based briefing. Coping and Thriving Through Difficult Emotions, Part 1 by Dr. Angela Crawford at angelacrawfordphd.com. How do we cope with challenging emotions, especially in the face of suffering in the world around us? As we watch the news or scan social media, it seems that the problems that face us are ever growing. Climate change and natural disasters, hunger and food insecurity, wars, disease, polarization, and violence. Not to mention our own personal stressors in areas such as relationships, finances, career, and our physical and mental health. On top of that, those of us on the vegan path face what psychologist Claire Mann, author of Vystopia, The Anguish of Being Vegan in a Non-Vegan World, calls the burden of knowing. We've become aware of the vast suffering of animals in the food system and other oppressive systems and want to raise awareness to end this suffering. How do we cope when it seems that most of society and our political and social systems are oblivious or indifferent to the impact of our daily choices on the planet and on sentient beings? As a highly sensitive person and empath, I face my own share of difficult feelings, times of sadness, despair, anger, and fear. And sometimes I find myself in a downward emotional spiral when I listen to the news, or read negative attacking comments on social media, or when I feel like an outsider at social events that are centered around animal foods. Sometimes I can handle these situations with strength, grace, and wisdom, but sometimes these situations bring me down into emotional negativity. Maybe you can relate. I don't have all the answers for how to handle difficult emotional experiences. However, as a lifelong seeker of personal and spiritual growth, and previously a psychotherapist for 25 years, I've committed myself to discovering ways to cope, transmute, and thrive through unsettling and painful emotions. Below, I share 10 tips for coping with difficult emotions, drawing on my experience, the wisdom of other experts, and insights from my forthcoming book, The Vegan Transformation, A Journey to Heal Yourself and the World. Number 1, remember that emotions are natural and essential, including the painful ones. When we experience painful events, witness others suffering, or become aware of the widespread exploitation and harm to sentient beings, it is normal to experience sadness, anger, and even hopelessness or despair. It's important to understand that emotions are essential for our survival and thriving. Even the emotions that we label as negative, like fear, sadness, or anger, serve important adaptive functions, helping us to recognize our needs and to take appropriate action. Many times, we wish to bury or push away negative emotions because we fear becoming overwhelmed by them. However, learning to acknowledge and move through our emotions is essential to psychological, physical, and interpersonal wellness. This mindful acknowledgement of our emotional experience reduces the risk that we will bury our feelings or become stuck in a particular emotion. Ultimately, acknowledging our emotions enables us to engage in life more fully and authentically. 2. Start by naming your emotions. For example, I'm feeling sad, angry, afraid, or whatever feelings you are experiencing. By giving language to feelings, it often diffuses their emotional intensity. It helps us to gain some distance so that we recognize that these are feelings, mental experiences, which can guide us, but do not define us. This helps to bring the wise brain back online so that we can access more resources for coping. Listing all your feelings on paper can help to acknowledge the complex interplay of emotions underneath your distress. Sometimes we may be feeling sad, angry, afraid, and/or hopeful all at the same time. As you write out what you're feeling, this doesn't mean getting caught up in your story around these feelings. Spending endless time justifying our reactions, interpretations, and/or rightness can keep us stuck. Simply name and acknowledge the different feelings you're experiencing and be aware of the needs and desires that accompany them. If you have difficulties identifying your feelings, tools like the Feelings Wheel linked here can help. In addition, the Center for Nonviolent Communication offers a helpful list of feelings and needs linked here. Number 3, develop skills for processing feelings and moving them through the body. Strategies for working through feelings include mindfulness, yoga, journaling, taking a walk, being in nature, or spending time with companion animals. In addition, you may wish to incorporate powerful practices such as loving-kindness meditation, emotional freedom technique, or EFT, internal family systems, IFS, or heart math techniques. I've included hyperlinks for each of these in case you wish to explore them further. I practice regular journaling, prayer, walks in nature, visualization, and mindfulness meditation to help stay grounded, and use IFS and EFT when I need emotional power tools. 4. It's healthy to let yourself cry. Tears help us release emotions such as sadness, sorrow, and grief. Sometimes we fear crying because we're afraid that we won't be able to stop, or we will look weak to others. However, for most people, there is tremendous relief after a good cry. In addition, research shows that tears can make relationships stronger because they help others relate to us. Allowing yourself to release tears helps you and may help to advocate more effectively as well. 5. Anger is a normal response to injustice, cruelty, and oppression. It's okay to feel angry. This is a natural response when we feel that we or others are being treated unjustly. The bigger issue is how you relate to and handle anger. First, as with any emotion, it's helpful to name it and draw on coping skills to process and release physical tension in the body. Once we are calmer, we can discern wise and effective ways to respond to our anger. Chronic anger is not healthy for us or helpful for creating the changes we want to see. Unprocessed anger tends to lead to aggressive or hostile communication, which typically causes others to put up their defenses rather than be receptive to our message. A healthier and more effective approach is to first calm and regulate the nervous system, and then discern wise words and empowered actions that help toward our larger objective. You just listened to Coping and Thriving Through Difficult Emotions, Part 1 by Angela Crawford, PhD, at angelacrawfordphd.com. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson. Tune in tomorrow for the second half of this episode, where you'll hear 5 more tips. So please share this episode with anyone who might benefit, and thanks for listening.